Hi there. I don't think I'm being very controversial when I say that nature is a beautiful thing. You got trees, you got oceans and lakes, and you also have the animals that live within those places, like whales, which seem pretty chill, pretty dope. I think I could be a pretty good friend with a whale if they were, cool with setting up the Xbox every other weekend and coming to hang out on land. I'm pretty sure I could be pretty good friends with them. You also have the tarantula, which a lot of people are scared of. I'm not really scared of spiders as much as I used to be, but I feel like just imagine hanging out with a tarantula, like being friends with a tarantula. I feel like, yeah, you would scare some people, but you'd also be really protected, because like who's gonna try and fight you if you just have a pet tarantula or just a buddy tarantula hanging out? Like, oh, you want to come fight me? All right, get out here, Frank, let's go. And they just, right? It's scary. It's a scary animal, but it'd be pretty cool to be friends with. However, today's video is not about being friends with animals. It's about being a mortal enemy towards a very specific animal that I personally have a lot of respect for, and one that is also pretty scary. That animal is the silverback gorilla, and it's quite frankly one of the most terrifying things you could probably ever see in your lifetime. Now, you're probably thinking, but Derek, if you respect and fear silverback gorillas, why would you ever want to be an enemy towards one? And the simple answer to that question is because it fits the question and the circumstance that I set up. What I've come up with is essentially a thought experiment of sorts, sort of a fun thing to talk about and explain with your friends, one that, hopefully sparks a little bit of a debate or a discussion in terms of, how feasible it might be. The circumstance to the question is this. Let's say you're stuck in a 50 square foot, let's say arena, and the only thing in front of you is a silverback gorilla. Now, you can escape this arena, it's entirely possible, but the only way you can do that is if you, let's say, get rid of this silverback gorilla with your bare hands. Now, obviously, the gorilla has the advantage in being, a lot stronger than you, and you're probably gonna die. But here's the catch. You have this, let's say, enchantment on you that you can come back as many times as you want. Think of Call of Duty style respawning. You die and then you pop right back. You're fresh as a bird, you're ready to go. This gorilla only needs to die once. If you're sending it to Jesus, it's not coming back. So then the question is, within how many lives do you feel that you could take down this silverback gorilla? Within how many respawns, within however many, reincarnations, whatever you want to say, how many would it take for you to take on this gorilla that not only can die, but also is getting progressively weaker as you keep fighting it? Essentially, you're going to kill this thing eventually. You just got to figure out how you're going to do it and within how many lives you're going to do it. Now, obviously, this is a joke. I made this up as just a video idea and just something that popped into my head a year back that I can't really get out of my head. I'm not recommending anybody go fight a silverback gorilla because you're not gonna win that fight. You don't get to come back. It's going to send you to Jesus, essentially. You're not going to be the one winning that fight. But with this being theoretical, I am free then to, make up whatever I want to talk about this. So, the question you might be asking me now is, well, Derek, how many lives do you think you could take it down in? Now, if you watched my first video, my sort of little intro to my channel video, you'll notice that I said towards the very end of it that if you put me in a cage with a silverback gorilla, I'll kill it within 500 lives. That probably didn't make a lot of sense then, and it probably makes a little bit more now that I'm talking about this. But I'm actually going to reduce the amount of lives I think I'm going to be able to take down the silverback gorilla. Now I think I'm capable of taking it down, not in 500 lives, but in 50. And I'll tell you how. All right, let's talk stats. So the average silverback gorilla can grow to be anywhere between 4 to 6 feet tall. And in terms of weight, they can grow to be anywhere between 300 and 500 pounds respectively. When it comes to age, they can live anywhere between 35 and 40 years old. And that's just talking about ones in the wild. If we're talking about a captive silverback, they can live to be 50 years or older. So I am currently 6'1", and as of today, 282 pounds. I am also about to be 23 years old. Happy birthday to me. So I think it's pretty fair to say that I'm currently in the prime of my life. So what does this mean for the scenario? How exactly does this affect it? Well, this means that I myself can just go Build-A-Bear with it, and I can make whatever gorilla I want to make, meaning however small or however big. For this specific situation, I get to pick. So I want this to be a challenge, and mama ain't raised no wimp, so I'm gonna pick the max stats from 2 of the 3 categories. I'm gonna go max height, and I'm gonna go max weight. In terms of age, I'm gonna change it up a little bit. In this theoretical situation, I would be fighting a 6-foot-tall, 500-pound silverback gorilla, and I want him or her, we're inclusive on this channel, to be in their peak, so I'm gonna say 25 years old. Now that we've established the stats of both myself and my opponent, let's talk about the arena we're going to be fighting in. When looking at the arena, we kind of have to look at multiple different things, because depending on where we get dropped in, I could have an advantage or the silverback could. For example, if you put me in my apartment, which I'm pretty sure is smaller than 50 square feet, I'd probably be able to win. I have a lot of things at my disposal, and I know my apartment better than the silverback does. But if we're talking about the jungle where the silverback lives, I'm obviously going to lose. That thing has trees it could go into. No matter how small of an arena we're in, it'd still be able to beat me. The trick is figuring out exactly what kind of terrain we go on, because you want to pick something that neither of us are particularly native to. Once again, jungle, city, each have their own advantages. So, in my mind, there's 3 logical steps that we could take. We could either fight in a desert, in the tundra, or just in a plain old field. Desert is automatically disqualified because the silverback has thick enough fur that I think that would hamper it. And, I don't want to be fighting an exhausted silverback, obviously, right? And, depending on the type of clothing I have, I'm also going to be pretty exhausted. So, let's just count that out. The tundra doesn't work exactly either. It's kind of the opposite reason the desert doesn't work, mainly because it's too cold, and, let's say I sneeze or something and that freezes, I can use that as a weapon, and that's just not fair to the silverback. This is hand-to-hand combat. I'm either killing this thing with my hands or I'm not killing it at all. So it is from my discernment that the fairest option that we can go with to ensure a safe and equal playing field for both myself and my opponent, we're just going to go with the plains. Just wherever you want to plop us, the middle of Kansas, the African safari, whatever it might be, we're just in the middle of plains, no civilization, no nothing. It's the perfect heat, it's the perfect cold, and there's absolutely no way that either of us can have any sort of advantage in terms of those things. 2 other big aspects we have to look at is what the arena looks like and whether or not we have a crowd involved, because both, I think, can kind of twist things in both ways, and I think it's really important to have it nice and equal, but I feel like it would be good to have both an arena and a crowd, so I'll try and ramify that to make that as equal as possible. For the arena, we're not trying to go too big. We're not trying to build a Parthenon. We only have 50 square feet. So what I'm suggesting, and what we're going to build, is just a 50 square foot square that is just all chain link fence. Just nice, pure wrought iron chain link, made in the heartlands, just pure red-blooded American beautiful craftsmanship. And surrounding those are going to be equally beautifully Americanly crafted bleachers. And those, like stuff you find at football games, the occasional volleyball game, hell, even water polo if you go to water polo. So just imagine a chain link square surrounded by 4 different rows of bleachers. Now the crowd, I want to be equal as well for both myself and the silverback. So these bleachers are going to be open for both my family and friends and the silverbacks. So then we can have an equal amount of support going from both ends, right? I don't want this silverback going into the arena and not seeing, their family in there, because they probably feel pretty bad, right? Not having someone there to, to support you to fight someone. So, equally enough so my family can hoot and holler, and so can the silverbacks. Helps, get us a nice little, extra boost from having a crowd, having, people that care about us, nice and supporting us. And yeah. Now let's establish the stakes. I can't have silverback gorilla blood on my hands for no reason. So let's say for this, we'll establish for me and also the silverback. So establishing for me, let's say that if I do manage to if I do manage to kill the silverback within 50 lives like I propose, then I get $1 million every month for the rest of my life, right? Nice, good stakes, gets me nice and comfy for the rest of my life. It'd be great. Now, it's going to be a little bit higher for the stakes for the Silverback, because if the Silverback beats me within 50, or it keeps me from taking it down within 50 lives, it gets to become human. It gets the ability to, go from being Silverback gorilla to being full-grown adult human. I feel like those stakes are pretty good for both of us. I would definitely like to make millions every month, and I feel like the Silverback, were this to be a sentient one, would definitely like to be human. So I feel like those are pretty equal, for our fight, and that'll give us enough motivation on both ends to kind of want to win. So everything's now been established. We have our arena, we have our stakes, we have our crowd. Now all that's left is for me to take down a Silverback gorilla with my bare hands in 50 lives. So now I'm going to break down precisely how I'm going to do that. I would have to be a absolute silly Billy to assume that I'm not going to die at all. So I'm going to break this down within my 50 lives, because obviously once or twice it's going to get the jump on me. I'm not going to be able to stop that. That's just kind of an inevitability. So I'm going to break down my strategy by lives, with my first one being me going down probably pretty easily, and with my 50th one being end game, I get it done. Lives 1 through 5 are what I call the exhibition phase. This is where I stop and I spend time to study how exactly the Silverback's fighting and what exactly is going to and not going to work on it. So, I test, maybe see if a haymaker gets anything. Maybe I do just a quick little jab, just pull like a Jackie Chan in a Rush Hour movie. I can do literally anything at this point, and I'm going to die many times. So because I have a finite amount of lives, I'm going to condense it to those 5. And within those, I'm just going to go gung-ho, let this thing take me down, and study every last bit of it. Lives 6 through 8 is what I call my taunt lives, my taunt rounds. That is when I just do everything I possibly can to piss off the Silverback. I now have a strong sense, a strong understanding of how this thing's gonna fight, how it's gonna work, if it's gonna charge me, if it's just gonna straight up try to punch me. Now I know. So now that these 5 lives are out of the way and I pretty much know everything about this thing, now I just sit there and I do the best I can to get it riled up. I sit there, I yell at it, I make fun of its mom, whatever I need to do, I'm going to get this thing pissed. And I'm just essentially going to do everything I can to make sure that because it gets angry, it gets sloppy, and then I can come in and clinch the win. Rounds 9 through 15 are the tiring lives, the tiring rounds. That is essentially where every time I die, if I'm coming back fresh and free and ready to go, I'm just going to expend all of that energy I have within those lives. So in that span of, I want to say it's 6 lives, I'm just going to get this thing tired, run it in circles. I'm still going to do the things I did in the taunting phase, but just not as much. It's not going to be as big or as well orchestrated in those terms. But I am just going to be doing everything I can to make sure that this thing gets absolutely pooped. I'm gonna, run around it. I'll, go and like poke it and then run away. Who knows? But essentially, the point of this is to make this a combination of an angry and tired Silverback that would give me an upper hand. 16 through 30 are probably the most important rounds of the situation, the most important lives I can go through, because this is just where I go gung-ho. I spend the next 14 lives flinging myself at this thing. I'm talking just bum rush, haymakers, everything I can. By this point, this thing is angry, it's tired, it's moving sloppy, it's not going to be able to, fully understand what to do. So it doesn't matter how many times I die within those lives, I'm just going to town. I am doing everything I can. So hopefully by the time we reach round 31, then I have a tired and angry and mostly beaten up Silverback that I can just, boom, come in, it's done and over with. And now we've reached it. Lives 31 to 50. This is just cleanup. This is quality control. I've already won. I've done everything I possibly can. I'm back, I'm fresh, I'm ready to go. And this thing is just tired. It's angry, it's acting out of, emotion and not any sort of tactic knowledge. It's not really looking at me like, okay, I'm just gonna go this way and attack this way. It's just looking at me like I want this guy dead. But it doesn't necessarily have the energy left to do so. So by this point, all I gotta do is just kind of sit there and let nature take its course. I've done enough and now I just sit there. So if I lose a life or two in between 31 and 50, I'm totally fine, right? I still have plenty left to go, and I'm not particularly worried. The damage is already done. I am now the king of the jungle, and I'm also now a multimillionaire for the rest of my life. So that is how I would, kill a silverback gorilla with my bare hands if I were in a theoretical situation in which I had 50 lives to spare. And with that, we reach the end of our video. I've built it all up. I've, brought up my science. I know what I'm talking about. I, studied Wikipedia for a little bit. So now it is indisputable. There is absolutely no way one can say that I would not be able to do this, or really anyone. That's the cool part of this thing. You can, hell, if you want to say you can take this thing down in one life, you can. That's the beauty of the thought experiment. It's all in how you structure it and what you want to do. You can really do whatever you want with it. Stay tuned for my next video, in which I talk about the greatest actor to ever bless our TV screens and our movie screens. Just the wonderfully blessed, just chef's kiss actor by the name of Nicolas Cage. And I will see you guys next week. See ya.